Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Friday. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Happy Friday. I don't know what to say beyond that. I guess just hello and happy Friday. Oh, I have a cool T-shirt on. I haven't gotten to wear this yet in video. And if you guys saw the video I did on 24/7 pet play, and then it was in another video, but I don't remember which one it was. But it's the one that has, like, it's the My Little Pony logo, but then it has, like, a bondage human pony on it. Like, it's very silly. It's the same brand. It's by a brand called Drool Apparel, and they make kind of one-off screen printings on upcycled t-shirts. And I got this one a couple weeks ago, and I really like it. And it's, it's a very... It is what it is, you understand what the shirt is about pretty directly. It's not very subtle, but I thought it was a cute t-shirt. So we have that. That's what's going on for me today. I'm not affiliated with Drool Apparel. I love it when sort of indie brands do kinky, interesting t-shirt designs, because that's like, I wear that, like, it's like the uniform for my job, right? So I enjoy that. And I love the Depeche Mode shirt and the new vid as well. Yes, that is from another, it's like not an Etsy brand, but it's also another indie, like, upcycling brand. And that is from, I want to say it's Lizzie BTQ is their name on Instagram. And they do, like, different kind of waves of different designs, from either, like, dead stock vintage shirts that are, like, blanks for printing, or, like, upcycled stuff, and all sorts of different t-shirts. Really, really good stuff. So, just the fashion update for today. And we have Banditi here in the corner, who I found today the Princess and the Pea on top of 3 blankets. I know, I'm talking about you. You are the Princess and the Pea. Yes, you are. On top of 3, like, stacked folded blankets. I was like, no matter how high I stacked them, she would just get onto whatever the tallest part of the stack was. Oh, and also, I have this guy. He is a Pomeranian in boba. He is a knockoff Squishable. Or she. I don't even know. What's your gender? How do you identify? I don't know. Whatever gender this creature is. It's a knockoff, like, Squishmallow or a Squishable or whatever. And I need a name for him. And I kind of just want to call him Boba. But if anyone has any other, like, cool ideas or cute ideas for this guy, let me know. So, Pomeranian Boba from an arcade. He's just gonna sit here in front of my t-shirt. This is how we censor myself now on YouTube, is I just, like, anything kinky, I just put this guy over it. Like, you thought I said a swear word? No, I didn't. You thought I had a graphic design on a t-shirt? No, I didn't. This is a Pomeranian. You can't do anything about it now. Can you, YouTube? Absolutely not. Oh, yes. Yes, thank you for liking the stream. If you do that, no obligation to. I am glowing tonight. Thank you. I did some very quick makeup, sort of, before the stream. I did a little bit of my eyebrows, a little bit of mascara, a little bit of just lip gloss on my lips, and then I probably shouldn't be using it because it's old, but I tried a little bit of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh, like, tinted moisturizer, because I didn't remember if I liked it or not, because it's, like, not very high coverage at all, but I feel like I actually did a pretty good job. So you can still see, like, my freckles and stuff coming through, which I like, but it's, it's a good option there. So that is my life currently. What has been going on with all of you? How have you been doing? If you're new here, hi, welcome. This is our weekly live stream we do on Fridays. We have some rules down below if you want to check those out. We also have a big FAQ with links to lots of resources for more common questions, like, how do I tell my boyfriend I want him to spank me? How can I tell my girlfriend I want her to be my dom? What books do you recommend? What movies do you recommend? That's all going to be down below. And basically, the way this works is this is an interactive Q&A. So you guys ask questions, I answer them, and I generally go in the order that questions come in. So early questions, always a good idea. We do have a little bit of an ongoing conversation here because we generally have, like, a regularly sized group of people that come in here, and they also contribute their thoughts as well, because I don't know everything about kink. I know a lot, like enough for it to be my job. But I don't know everything, and I always like hearing other people's perspectives and experiences with kinks I don't necessarily have, or even just like additional thoughts about things. So we definitely do a lot of crowdsourcing here. If you want to contribute your answers to questions as well, we love hearing that. And basically, don't be rude, don't spam the chat, be nice to people, and read the rules below. And they have to be 18 to be here. That's really the other big thing. No minors, please. Thank you very much. And no medical advice, no like mental health advice, because I'm not a doctor and not qualified for that. I will send you to resources if that's what you need, but I'm sorry, I can't tell you if your whatever from last weekend when you did a paddling scene is infected. That's not really my domain. But I can't offer just like general advice about like, is it common for this to be part of BDSM? Like, what happens if this happens? Like, we can get into that. I am definitely not always a goddess, but thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here for a second, and I will say this about my job. As somebody that has had like lifelong self-esteem issues, it is very difficult for my job to be editing my own face all day long. Like looking at my face, watching my face back, looking at my face in a viewfinder, looking at my face in a live stream box. Like it's just my face constantly all the time, and not always great for the self-esteem every day, but we try our best to get through it and make things better quality in a technical sense at least. And yeah, it's I'm very grateful to be in the position that I am in, and I do sometimes wonder if I was like, you know, if I looked like Pokimane, like would my channel have 1 million subscribers, right? Like if I looked like a Sniper Wolf, where would my channel be at? I don't know. Like it's interesting to think about that, like how different the standards are for different creators and like how much we sort of pretend looks don't play a role in content and like success of content, but I really think that it does, and we don't always talk about that. But that's like sort of one of my own things. If you guys are not creators, you probably don't care about that as much, but like it does, it has some meaning. Okay, let's get into some questions here, because it's like the first time we've had like a normal live stream in like fucking 2-3 weeks maybe. So other like the more recent streams, if you want to see me do my makeup, the last couple streams I've done makeup on them because I was getting ready for date nights, and they were all really fun and really good time. So if you want to see that, watch those ones. But today we're gonna keep it old school. We're gonna stick to questions. So, and then, you know, random rants, because I do just really quickly, the title, Masochism, Bratting, all of that. We did a video I did a video, you guys haven't seen it yet. Or maybe you did? No, you guys did just see it. The video I did on types of masochists. And I thought we could follow that up. And like also, I need to talk about like bratting and littles and dating apps. And I feel like I have a little bit of a PSA about that I need to share with people, because I'm just hearing more and more stories from people trying to meet kinky folk on dating apps, and we need to talk about some behaviors and appropriate boundaries, I think. And like, just because you have this label doesn't mean this behavior is okay. And like, talking about that a little bit more. And maybe it's worth making a video about, but I don't know. Oh, I'm glad you can make it, Andrew. Welcome back. I have a 3-year gap where I refuse to have any pictures taken of me because of my self-esteem issues. Yeah. Oh yeah, I hate family photos. They're the worst. I'm like, no, don't gaze upon me. Like the SpongeBob thing, right? It's like, don't look at me, I'm hideous. SpongeBob has a meme for everything. We love to see it. Okay. All right. Oh, by the way, new thing we're doing here. You don't have to do it, but just a good idea. If you want to make sure I see your question, if you have the ability to put in the question mark emoji, that's a really good way to highlight your question and make sure that I see it. Just watched the masochism video. I had mentally divided masochists between those who enjoy pain itself and those who enjoy what pain means to them. The video fleshed out several variants. Yes, I think that's like a really just a good baseline way of thinking about masochism, is like people either directly enjoy the pain by itself or they enjoy something else that the pain gives them. It's not the pain. So I agree with that for sure. And I really enjoyed making that because It's very interesting that we have kind of like one word that describes so many different internal mental experiences, because it doesn't have to be that way, right? We could easily have a timeline, a universe where we have multiple different labels for all different approaches to what we call masochism, because it doesn't have to just stop there, right? The number of labels that we give to something or what we call them is really only determined by us. So it's not like it's just only masochism, right? uh Okay, we are gonna have to set some ground rules about the super chats, y'all. Okay, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. I will say that is part of BDSM, mostly for pro dom work, not really necessarily in the community, but let's, stay appropriate here, folks. All right. Okay, what? Oh no. Yes, if you haven't watched the last video, definitely do. Okay, it won't let me scroll up in the chat. Okay, what is happening, YouTube? I'm stuck at the bottom of the chat for some reason. I don't know what's okay, wait. Give me a second here. Okay, whew. I think it's just because I had it. The little, like, floaty thing where you can do, like, hearts. It was, like, stuck over the scroll wheel, and then because of that, I couldn't actually scroll up in the chat anymore. So thanks for that UI interface, YouTube. Also, hello everyone. We have lots of people in the chat here today. I love it. Hopefully you're all having a great Friday. I would love it if you guys are doing anything kinky this weekend. I love hearing about people's plans, and I love hearing updates about, like, if we talked earlier or I gave advice or we just talked about a thing you were working on. Love updates. Love to hear y'all's stories. I don't think I want to get into religion here, but do you think self-flagellation, the act of flogging yourself, could be a kink? And if so, do you think it would fall under it, or would it fall under self-abuse? So I have a video where I've talked about solo play before, and there's a book that I like to recommend a lot that's by Peter Tupper. It's called, I can picture the cover in my head exactly. It's called The Lover's Pinch, I want to say. And it's a history of sadomasochism and BDSM, and they talk about religious self-flagellation in that book as, like, maybe one kind of point along the line of, like, developing into eventually what we get as BDSM. I think that self-play and solo play is complicated to do right, especially for physical masochism, but it is definitely a thing. I've been to lots of parties where people are doing solo bondage, solo needles, solo... like the impact play toys are a little bit more complicated, but certainly, like, solo roleplay activities, solo medical play, those are all definitely things that people do. I don't think people necessarily call it self-flagellation. I think they usually call it, like, solo play or, like, flogging or something. Like, you can definitely, like, flog on your back or kind of, go around this way. Like, it's difficult. And I think it's difficult both in terms of, like, how hard you can go, aiming correctly. I actually think that something more on the thighs tends to work better for solo play, for impact play, because it's, like, it's right there, it's a big area, it's a really strong bone. It's usually the best place to go for if you don't really know where else to go. Also, my dog is being so cute. Cutie puppy. We went on a walk today, and it was great. We had a good time today. It was perfect weather. Or according to the news, it was vanilla weather. It's like, I saw that and I cracked up. I was like, well, it has been a while since I've heard anyone say, like, vanilla's a slur. So it's nice to be reminded that, yes, people just use vanilla as a regular word, too, outside of, like, a kink context. Oh, no, I am sorry to hear about your UTI junk. Oh, God, we all have our own health issues, don't we? It's like D-Manos or something you can buy on Amazon. I used to use it, and it actually is, like, really good at helping prevent those if you get them on a regular basis. Not medical advice, just saying it's a good supplement, okay? Not approved by the FDA, just saying it personally has helped me and other people that I know. I saw a good-looking t-shirt at Folsom that someone was wearing, and it would work for today's society, as it was a t-shirt with a Barbie wearing a ball gag. I love that shirt idea. That's gonna be, like, Barbie kink stuff, I feel like is gonna be really big for the next couple of years. I think that's gonna be the next really big thing. Or Ken with the ball gag. Yes, absolutely. We're equal opportunity gaggers here, I suppose. Anyone, any gender can enjoy a gag. Okay, interesting question. My sir and I want to get involved in our local kink scene. We have learned that his sibling, older by a couple years, is already involved in the local scene. Is this normal? Is it possible to avoid? So, family members being part of the BDSM scene is not super common, but it does happen. Like, I used to know someone whose mom was in the BDSM scene and they found out later. I don't think they saw each other at a party, but they had a good enough relationship where they were able to have a conversation about, like, so I know or I heard that you go to these types of events. I also go to these types of events. Let's navigate how we do that. Let's navigate making sure we're not going to have overlap and see each other at parties. I think, if it's like cousins or something, like it's probably, I don't know if it's, I don't have cousins, so I don't really know how that dynamic works, but certainly with like siblings and parents, you really gotta, I think it's wise to have a separation there. Like, I think it just feels like it's not incest, but it feels like it's on the path to that. It's like, I don't think anyone wants to really see their close family members in that context. But with a conversation around that, what ended up working for them is because of their age difference, obviously, because parent and child, they decided to just go to like the TNG events, which were for 35 and under, and then they went to the other events at like a different location, and so they never really had any overlap after that. So I would recommend either talking about like certain parties you want to go to, certain clubs you want to be a part of. Like, you have an option to go to like just a different kink space altogether or go to separate munches. I would just have a conversation about it. It's definitely possible to avoid. I don't think you can really like avoid it any other way besides having a conversation about it. Like, I don't think there's a way to like beam into this person's head, like, don't go to this event, don't go to this event. Like, you have to talk about it at some point, which is like awkward. But what's more awkward, having a conversation about like, hey, I want to go to these parties, what about you, versus like, seeing your sibling get flogged by somebody while like naked and like, oh, just no thank you at all. So that's how I would usually navigate it. It's definitely something that happens, but it's not the most common thing by any means. But there are tools for making it less awkward. Happy Friday. Not sure if you got to my question last week. I had to leave early. Loved your DIY impact vid. Any ideas for a DIY flogger? Yes, I did answer this one, but I'm happy to answer it again because you're here now. So I think during that live stream, I talked about using rope or yarn for a DIY flogger. There are lots of very simple, well, relatively to like making a full leather flogger, like simple DIY tutorials for making a flogger out of those materials. You could even, this probably wouldn't work because it probably won't be long enough, but you can definitely get like scrap leather and practice with that too if you want to. The simplest stuff that I've seen is usually somebody will get like a certain number of falls of, cut pieces of yarn or rope, and then they will like duct tape that together, and then they'll do some kind of like paracord handle over it. And it's very, very simplistic. It's very rustic, but you definitely can make it relatively easily, and it's not going to be the same as a leather flogger in terms of sensation, but it can be very good. I think that like if you take you can even find it on Etsy if you want examples of what they look like when they're done. If you make like a yarn flogger, you can kind of like flay apart the bits of the yarn, so you have like basically a really soft, thuddy mop as opposed to like a more stingy leather. Or like you can even go the other end, right? You can put knots in the end of the rope, and then that is quite intense. And that's I'm not sure if it's like a more traditional flogger necessarily, like in the sense of like, oh, it's a flogger from, the 18th century on a military vessel in the high seas, like British Navy type thing. But that's what I would look at for those. And there's lots of ways to do DIY floggers. And you can even, actually, let me check to make sure this hasn't happened yet, but there is a leather maker that I really enjoy. Music is playing on my phone. Stop that. There is Firebird Leather, and they're on Instagram. I think they're kind of on Twitter, but not really. And Oh, okay. I think the last day to be able to get the kit passed, but they do a DIY flogger tutorial, and you can buy a kit from them to make the tutorial. And it says if you can't attend the live class, you can still get the normal kit with tutorial video. So if you want to do that, here I'll just show you the thing on my phone so you guys can you can look at that. So this is, oh god, the light's right there. Can you see that? It's Firebird Leather DIY flogger tutorial. You can go to their website, Firebird Leather, and great quality leather floggers, like very top notch. And I think if you want to learn how to make like a proper leather flogger, even just buying a kit like that and following the directions would be a really good step. Boba dog is they them. Listen, we're gonna have a they them boba dog. Listen, we gotta have the non-binary representation, okay? We are definitely going to be doing that. It's a Bobaranian. It really is. Well, then it kind of sounds like their name is Bob. It's Bob. Life is too short to not dress well. Somebody's smart, probably. Is that an actual quote? I don't know. I'm meeting a potential sir in 2 weeks. Well, good luck, Heather. I wish you the very best in that. Make sure to stay aware of the red flags we know to look for. Ask good questions. And try not to fall for the sparkle and song and dance. Because a lot of doms are very good at the sparkle and the sun and, getting you the sun and the moon and the stars. And, then when it comes down to actually having a long-term relationship, they're not very good at that. But we'll see how it happens, and I wish you the best. Honestly, I don't know how any YouTuber manages to see themselves that much. I think that most YouTubers get over a certain size and they outsource editing and like the thumbnail creation and everything, and they just don't look at themselves anymore. Like they have a monitor maybe for recording video, but other than that, they just don't look at it anymore. Like even like actors, like a lot of actors, like professional, big time, A-list celebrity Hollywood actors don't watch their own movies because they can't stand to watch themselves. So it's like, all right, if so-and-so in Hollywood can't watch themselves, I'm not going to feel bad about it either. Good question. How would you deal with a lull in events in your community? Currently in a 3-month lull as my primary partner is vanilla and I don't have a consistent play partner. So it sounds like the problem isn't that there's not events happening, but that you're not going to events because you don't have a consistent play partner, which is sort of a different issue, I think. I'll answer sort of both things and just to get both answers out there. Also, wow, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Almost at 150, which is exciting for me. Thank you all for watching. If you want to, give the stream a like because it helps more people find it because that's how YouTube works. So if you have a lull of events in your community space, as in like events are just not happening, I am of the opinion that if you're thinking that, there's somebody else thinking that. Somebody else is thinking, I wish there was a munch, a discussion group, a party, or whatever. And if you have the time and ability to do it, you can certainly work to like make an online munch, make a local Discord chat, create some kind of other, like maybe you can figure out how to rent like, the back room of a coffee shop or a library study room for a discussion group. Like you can make things for events that you want to see and then invite other people to them, advertise on FetLife. And you can also use other apps, like the Bloom Community app is I think a good way to advertise kink events. They're a little bit persnickety is the word I'm going to choose to say there. Not necessarily the best reputation, but depending on where you live, like Bloom Community gets like a lot of use, like California gets a lot of use out of it. I think New York maybe as well. There's a lot on the Bloom Community app. That's a good way to advertise for it if you want to be able to build up events. And then if what you're dealing with is like, I don't have a consistent play partner, if I am in that mode where I don't have a consistent play partner, but I wish that I did, and I'm like, I really want to be able to do scenes, I want to be able to do this and that. I think going to like really big events, like waiting to go to a convention, oftentimes those will have really big organized like mixers and speed dating and matching threads. So if you want to be able to do a scene with somebody, you can meet up that way through that. I think it works better than like sort of the usual general like personal ads that you see on FetLife where it's like, my name is Big Dick Jimmy and I would like a slave to live in my garage and shine my boots with their tongue every morning and blah blah blah. Those are, I don't really like regular personals boards, but ones that are tailored for an event, I have always had really good success with. And if maybe your local community has that, definitely take advantage of it. And I would just focus on going to the social events. And I imagine if your primary partner is vanilla, they're going to be more comfortable with you going and meeting people in those spaces anyways, be that a munch discussion group. I've seen karaoke nights, board game nights, movie nights, book clubs, all knitting groups, even yoga nights. Like there's all different ways to meet people in the kink scene that don't involve going to a party, getting naked, and then getting into the flogging. You know, like you can do that if you want, but it's not the only option for that. I would also say that if what you want to do is meet people and you want to have a play partner, you can look for events that are designed for meeting people, or like newbie nights, or like welcome to the community events or tasters where it's easier to meet play partners. And actually, I've had a lot of success since I moved to Portland, especially like meeting people on dating apps that are kinky but not part of the local kink scene, because it turns out a lot of people in Portland don't really like the kink scene here because almost all of the event spaces are either ran by people who are kind of shady or they have drinking at them. And there's only really like one space that's, I think, good, but it's very femdom oriented. And so if you're not that, it's not really going to work for you. And it's also not really like a play space. It's more of like a co-working space that is rentable and hosts events occasionally. But yeah, in any case, there's options definitely for looking at that. And like, it could also just be you get lucky one time on a dating app, meeting somebody that way and making connections there. And I think, I don't want to say lower your standards, because that's not really what I mean, but I think, and this is like something I've struggled with because of my job, I think more than anything else, be okay meeting somebody, and I'm not saying that you're not this way, because I don't know you personally, but I'm just giving general advice for people listening. When you are looking for a dominant or a top play partner especially, a lot of people are reluctant to play with new people, even if they're also new. And they want somebody who has like this and that experience, already knows how to do this and that. And you can have a really, really good play partner that starts from somebody who like doesn't know anything about kink yet, but is eager to learn. And so what I look for in a potential partner, if they say they want to do kink but haven't done it yet, is like, are they curious? Are they willing to learn? Do they want to take classes? Do they want to participate in the local community or learn some other way? Do they want to, like, are they willing to listen to me, basically? Like, are they willing to, like, hear feedback, understand my boundaries, not push things? Do we align in terms of our motivations for kink? Like, sexual versus non-sexual, different types of kink? Like, if they're into, like, bimbo, hypnosis, housewife role play, and I'm really into like traditional master slave, you know, like whatever, then there might be some overlap there, maybe not really enough for a whole relationship. So that's what I really look for. And again, I found success doing that, but sometimes it just really is a numbers game, and like 3 months, like, you can also just think about it as an opportunity to focus on yourself, right? Like waiting for the right time for like events to happen, the right event, the right person to come along in a dating app. You can focus on educating yourself, learning about things. You can teach yourself skills that maybe you want to take into a relationship. Like you can learn more about rope bondage and practice on yourself. You can learn more about service. You can get into yoga or meditation or start going to the gym. Like do things that will physically or mentally improve yourself to help you be more prepared for that kink relationship. And you know, that's what I would do. That's my advice. But I am but one person, and I'm certainly not everyone in the kink scene. Oh my god. One time me and my friend were looking for a local dungeon, and there was a martial arts studio by the same name, and she found that one on Google Maps and insisted we drive there. It was funny but awkward. Oh my god. You're okay. Like, that story could have gone way worse, because now I'm wondering if anyone goes to the dungeon trying to find the martial arts studio. But actually, there's a number of local kink dungeons in different places I've lived that have like public Google reviews, and they're almost always like bad reviews from like one guy named Bob who's like 1 star, no hot chicks wanted to fuck me, frowny face, and I'm like, you thought you were getting a very different experience here. If you want that, you can go up the street to the showgirls or whatever and do that. But yeah, it's a whole thing. Okay, more questions. I'm sure this has probably come up before, but do you have any recommendations for kinky podcasts? Yes. Some of the ones that I've been on. I really like the, let's see, there is the American Sex Podcast with Sunny Megatron. That's a really good one. I also really like Off the Cuffs and Loving BDSM. Those are like the 3 ones that I listen to. And they do, I think, between the 3 of them, a really good job of like interviewing people, giving a personal perspective, and it's a pretty well-rounded approach, I think. And I've talked to everyone who runs all those podcasts. I think they're good people and I love what they do. And I could not edit a podcast. If I do that for my job, no sir, no ma'am, could not be me. I hate editing podcasts. It's so boring. I like, as much as I hate staring at my own face for like 10 hours a day, I also am like grateful for the visual stimulus, because just the auditory part where you hear like every single tiny little like crackle, background noise, smacking noise, water sipping, oh, that drives me nuts. Can't do it. What is the difference between like goddess worship and being a general femdom / do you have any good resources for that? So for like goddess worship, not really. In general, for like femdom information, Morgan Thorne here on YouTube is a really good free resource, especially for like more technical skills, like if you want to learn about like basic bondage or CBT or flogging, spanking, even caning and bastinado, like even that's on there. So you get lots of options for different hard skills as a femdom, and also some like general conversations about being a femdom. She doesn't really make videos as much anymore, which makes me really sad, but lots of good older videos on that channel of like quality but basic information. It's a really good intro level for that. I also really like Justine Cross. She has a Gumroad account where she has pre-recorded classes and other information on there about being a femdom, and I think that's a really good resource. Let me see. I don't know if they have recorded classes, but I will double check real quickly because they might. Let's see. Oh, it's the other kind of rentals. I want a space rental. I want like and events, the recording with the class recordings. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, there's gonna be a kinky tapas, like taster mixer. Ooh, that's a great idea. I love that. Okay, so there is on the, this is a local place that I really like. It's a sort of like, it's the co-working space for DOMs I was talking about. And on there, they have links to a bunch of different, again, also Gumroad classes that you can buy. There is one that's meant for especially male submissives who want to learn how to approach dominant women. There are classes on like mindfuckery, service submission, and chastity, other like good intros on there. I would also maybe look at those if any of those skills interest you. As Sub Rosa, so SUBROSA, and then pdx.com, Sub Rosa. You can also just Google Sub Rosa, it'll pop up. So that is really good. Okay. So, and also they do, if you happen to be in Portland, which I don't imagine that you are, they also do monthly femdom bootcamp classes every, like, you know, they're gone for the summer, but they'll be coming back in September, and those are really good. And that is, I think, about what I recommend. There are some books about femdom, but I don't necessarily recommend any of them. Trying to see, have I read any of these like recently enough to be like, oh, this is like a good book? God, there's so many. Because, like, weirdly, a lot of them are, like, for vanilla people, where it's, like, learn about the crazy inside world of being a femdom. Like, it's meant to be sort of a, like, a revealing biography, I guess. And I find that interesting. Okay, what the heck? Okay. Sending me all kinds of crazy words. I'm going on, like, a whole thing. There's Femdom for Nice Girls. It's by Lucy Fairborn. I haven't read that one, so can't speak to it. God, there's a lot of, like, self-published Amazon crap these days that just, like, clogs up search results before I actually get anything that's, like, worth looking at. I was thinking Morgan Thorne has a book that she's made about Femdom. Yeah, she has an exploring BDSM workbook for couples and, like, a classic guide to discipline. So, if anyone here has any book recommendations for femdom stuff, I would love to hear, because I've not necessarily heard amazing things about the femdom specific literature currently on the market. What is the difference between vanilla roleplay and a BDSM roleplay? That's actually a really good question. I think it really comes down to intention. So when I think of vanilla roleplay, I think of, like, sexy maid costume from Lovers or, like, Castle Megastore. You know, you try it on, it's sexy, you act sexy in it, and the intention is, like, very straightforward, like, vanilla sexual titillation of, like, ooh, I'm a naughty little schoolgirl, spank me. Like, you know, it's very, 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 very light. Like, you're not realistically trying to, like, play that role. You're just trying to, like, try on a sexy costume. In the same way that, like, sexy Halloween costumes aren't, like, BDSM roleplay, you know? Like, they're again, it's very, like, straightforwardly vanilla. But I think when the focus changes from just trying to get to vanilla sexual intercourse by doing very basic baseline, like, ooh, I'm a naughty schoolgirl type stuff. When you transition from that into focusing on, like, really, like, taking on the schoolgirl role and, like, getting into role play on both sides, and the costuming gets more accurate, and you have set pieces, and you have a plot, and you have, you know, like, maybe, like, period accurate clothing. I think all of that is a good way to, you know, tell a difference between, like, is it just, like, vanilla purposes, or is it just, like, is it kinky, you know, one of the two. You're the third opinion I'll get. I consider myself monogamous, but never say never on dating more. And my girlfriend and Menamore are both poly. Does that mean I'm poly too, or another name? So generally, if you're not poly, but you're dating... Okay, wait. Okay, so girlfriend and Menamore. Okay. You would be in what's called, like, a monopoly relationship, where you're monogamous, but your partner is poly. So you're not dating anyone else, but they're dating other people. So the relationship would be called, like, a monopoly relationship. You would still be monogamous. There's not really, like, an equivalent, like, special word for, like, somebody who's monogamous but dates a poly person. I could see that being useful as, like, a separate term, but to my knowledge, there's not anything like that quite yet. So those are some thoughts that I have about roleplay, vanilla versus kinky roleplay. Because there's, like, a subtle difference, right? It's sort of like, what's the difference between, like, goth fashion and, like, general alternative fashion? Like, like, you can tell a difference between, like, somebody who's doing, like, a Susie Sue impression and, like, somebody who's dressing like they're going to, like, a Megadeth concert. But, like, there's a line between the two where it gets real fuzzy. And I think it's similar with, like, kink versus vanilla roleplay, where, like, roleplay can be kinky and it can be vanilla, but I think it has to do more with the mentality of the participants than anything kind of, like, discreetly in the behavior itself. I think that question got answered. Okay. In your opinion, do your poly partners need to meet or be friends with your main partner? In my case, my husband. My new partner would really like to be friends with my hubby, but he's not keen on it. I don't think anyone has to do anything they don't want to do. I think there's definitely an ideal, I would say, within the poly community of like the best kind of polyamory is when all of your metamors and all of your partners are all friends, you all get along, and you all have like 12-person tea parties on Saturdays, and you know do everything together in like a big polycule, and everyone gets along. But as we well know from maybe even just our partners' friends, not other partners, it's not always a given that you're going to get along with everyone else in your partner's life. And I think if you're trying to force a friendship, that's a really good way for the friendship to not happen. So what I would probably say instead is like, if I had a partner, and I don't have this situation, but if I did, I would probably say something like, it's really great that you want to meet and like be friends with this other person in my life. I really like that too. They're not really super keen on like, you know, forming a friendship, but I would love for you to meet and just like see if you get along. I think meeting without expectations is probably best, right? Like I think if you want to meet and just be like, this is this person, now you know them. And I think it can be really helpful because especially if, in this case, your husband hasn't met your other partner yet, your husband maybe is reluctant to build up a friendship because they don't know this other person yet. And so they're building up some crazy story in their head about, you know, they have this and I don't have that, and they're more attractive and they're taller and they're this, like, whatever it is they think that you care about or what they think makes like a man more manly, or what. I'm assuming that it's two men, because I think that my experience at least has been that like male partners don't care really about meeting female metamors. They're like into that, they want that to happen. It tends to be more of a competition between male metamors and like male partners more so than, you know, opposite sex, opposite gender partners. But in any case, you don't try to force the friendship. You definitely don't have to have the friendship. I think a lot of people walk into poly with that ideal of everyone needs to get along and be friends. But I think in reality, the actual healthy goal is just like everyone knows about each other. They have the level of contact and relationship that both parties want to have, and they're on like good terms. They can speak to each other. They can send a text message. They, whatever, you know, they can have contact with each other. If they hate each other and they go, well, I hate so and so and they're the worst and blah blah blah, like, that's a bad sign. Y'all are testing my patience with the super chats today. I swear to God. I'm gonna just say this, and it might be hurtful for you. Comments like yours are why I do not have any visible displays of any relationships when I make YouTube or internet content. Because everyone feels entitled to know about something that's not really their business. So, sorry. Thank you for the super chat, but, fucking, if you're thinking of the one that I had like fucking 3 years ago, I don't have that. I gave that back to the person who gave it to me, like, as soon as I took it off. Like, oh, people are weird. Okay. I haven't had a collar visible on camera, other than, like, something for fashion purposes, very occasionally. And even then, I just, like, I'm like, I did it, like, 4 times, and I was like, oh, this isn't worth it. People are still weird about it. Like, oh, you wear a collar once and then suddenly, permanently afterwards, everyone's like, hey, wear this for me because it pleases me. Oh, God. Okay. Always people being cringy. Not my dog, though. She's never cringy. She's always just very cute. Okay. Look at the dog. Gaze upon her cuteness. Clear your mind of any annoying comments. Like, people say that, and I know they don't mean it in a bad way, and they don't mean it like, oh, I'm entitled to your body, but, like, people just they don't understand, like, they don't think about the implications of what they're saying, or the fact that I've had to say, like, 50 bajillion times over the last, like, 2.5 years to, like, not tell me about that, or not ask me about that. It's like, this is a very simple boundary. Very, very simple. Okay, I'm trying to get back to where we were in the questions. Oh, yes, we were talking about polyamory partners. Yes, I think the more realistic option is not like everyone trying to be friends, but just to be able to like get along, and if your husband's not feeling it right now, they're not going to feel it more by like trying to force it. So, but hopefully at some point in the future, like you will be able to have a relationship where everyone can know about each other and talk, and I think that'll be positive. But I think it takes longer than just be like blah blah blah, meet blah blah blah, now hang out and be friends and like each other. Like that just doesn't happen. I know. I was clapping, little dog. Don't worry, I was not clapping about you. So sensitive, always so aware. How would you manage a concerned doggo? Okay, great segue. A concerned doggo in a BDSM household. My dog seems worried by the noises I make with impact play. We have tried distractions and lick mats, but he still... Okay, I don't see the rest of that, so I'm gonna assume that the rest of that is just like, but he still is worried or still, you know, is freaked out. I have had that experience with Bandita where she is very freaked out by like pet play masks, like the ones that go over your face. She hates those. Like she literally cowers in the corner. It is the saddest thing. And I've noticed that also with like statues. Like if she sees like a statue of a wolf or like a statue of like a cougar, like it scares her. She does not like being around that. So she just is not into, like if she thinks it looks kind of like a dog and it's not fully like a dog, she's like, I don't, she gets freaked out. She doesn't like it. So I do not wear that kind of thing around her simply because like it's such a high level of stress for her to be around. I don't like, I just don't go there. But what I have found both for her and for other dogs that I lived with while I've done BDSM is definitely have them run another room. She also is very freaked out by like especially like spanking like type impact play noises. She's not like that, any kind of like slappy noise she's not into. Even just like raising my voice, she's not a fan of at all. She's very like reactive to like people and the noises they make. So I definitely try to make sure that she has other things to do during the day to help her like relax and calm down if I know I'm going to be doing a scene that day, just to make sure that she's taken care of. And then definitely behind closed doors, you have the ability to do that. Like you could be in a studio, I don't know, but if you have some kind of ability to create separation between you and the dog. And then if you don't have that already, like if the dog always follows you around from room to room and they cannot be on their own in another room, I think you have to start working on that and maybe like doing some crate training or help them develop a sense of a space in the house as like their home base they can go to and find comfort in. And that's going to take a lot of time and training. And I'm not a dog training expert, so I like, you know, this is really just more advice for like you to know more, to be able to research further. But if you want to be able to play with your dog being in the house, having a separation between the noises that you're making and then them would be the best. It is difficult because typically if you want to help a dog with, I don't know what I call it, like a noxious stimulus maybe, or something they find displeasant or unpleasant, like a vacuum cleaner or a dishwasher or a truck outside. Like you try to like really, really reward them while the sound is happening to help them not freak out about it and like associate it with positive things. But you can't really like both give your dog a treat and then also like continue the flogging at the same time. So you might want to have somebody else that you know and trust like help you with that process. Or maybe you could give them some kind of like long-term treat, like chew toy. Like you get like a beef cheek roll or like fill a Kong up with something, or like those kind of like puzzle toys where it's like, I don't know, it's just like something to occupy them with a high value treat inside of it. But like, you know, to a dog, they don't really understand what's happening. So of course they're going to hear the noises and not really know what to make of it and freak out. But I'm not a dog training expert. I just have found that it's usually better to, if I'm going to be doing like a louder impact play scene, I generally save those for doing them at dungeons because like there's not a way to prevent the dog freaking out fully. Like things like bondage, you know, gags, other quieter impact play, doing impact play over clothing. You can also mitigate the amount of noise you're making through that too, or like playing music or playing other distracting noises on top of what you're doing. That can also help as well. All right, let's move on to the next question. Can you give additional examples of how to be a submissive every day or ways to be a submissive daily? Okay, so I made a video on this, or like a 24/7 pet play video more recently, I suppose. And that's such like an open-ended question that I almost don't even know where to start with that. Like, okay, how do you be a submissive every single day beyond what I've already said to do? And I really think, if you haven't watched the video on like ritual and protocol, that's a really good place to start for building that up in your relationship. But really, anything can be part of your DS relationship every day. That's, I think, what people get tripped up about, is they think, well, what's like a kinky thing I could do every day? But you can turn the vanilla activities into a kink activity, right? Like, doing the dishes is like a pretty normal vanilla life activity, about as vanilla and average as it gets for most people, but you can turn that into a kink activity with the right mindfulness and intention, and having it be a rule in your relationship that, like, as the submissive, I do this thing, and then maintaining that consciously in your awareness as you are performing the behavior. So, like, again, anything. It could be showering together. It could be the way you do your makeup, how you style your hair, the clothes you wear, doing cleaning around the house. Anything you do could be part of a 24/7 relationship. How kinky that feels to you, how submissive that makes you feel, will be highly variable. I know a lot of people where their 24/7 everyday submissive relationship, it's not kinky in the traditional sense of like floggers and collars and sleeping in a cage, but it is very kinky to them because the role play that they do and how that informs the perspective they have about the other, maybe more mundane activities that happen, like, you know, ironing clothing and preparing a lunch and meal planning and running errands. Those could be vanilla things, but they're made kinky by the mentality, by the intention, by having it be something you choose to engage in with a submissive mindset, as opposed to being implicitly kinky all on its own. And it can become implicitly kinky over time with reinforcement, with that association with the relationship. Different people get there at different speeds, or it might not ever happen, you know, sometimes it doesn't. But you do definitely have ways to be able to have more submission in your everyday life without it being like a whole theatrical production. So really, like, the additional examples I can give are just like, think of anything you do in your daily life right now. Maybe you keep a journal. Maybe you meditate. Maybe you pack a lunch every day before work. Maybe you do laundry. Maybe you walk the dog. Any of those things within a power exchange relationship can become part of the power exchange relationship. But like I said, like, what makes you feel submissive is a very personal process. So for some people, the idea of like cooking their partner dinner, doing the dishes, and then ironing their clothes for work the next day, that's like the height of kink. That's like, I want that so much. I want to have that relationship. Yes, please. Oh my gosh. Other people go, that's kink? That sounds like being a trad wife. I don't really want that. I want to, where's the flogging? Where's the spanking? Where's the teasing? That's what I want. So it really does vary, it really does depend. And that's what I would look to if that's what you are wanting to do, is don't limit your mindset about what can potentially be submissive or feel submissive for you. We aren't here for shock value, and YouTube can be super extra judgmental, so use your... Yes, please, do not get my stream in trouble by sending in weird super chats. Thank you very much. Or, like, I might just have to, like preview the donos before I let them show up on stream. So please just be normal. I beg you, be normal. I know that you're real people, but sometimes you don't act like it, okay? Like, act like you are a functional human being occasionally. Oh, you're going to a pajama-themed BDSM party? Sign me up. That sounds amazing. That sounds so fun. I rarely catch it live, so this is a first update. I'm going to rework my garden. Love that. Love gardening. Hopefully you're having a good gardening season this summer, or maybe you're in Australia and then you're in the middle of winter, in which case kind of a long way off from gardening, but nice. Good to know. I work at a BDSM studio modeling and training to be a femdom, and I'll be celebrating one of the divas' birthdays this weekend. It's interesting training to be a dom when I'm really a sub or a switch. I think that's more common than people expect. A lot of people I know that work in the industry in their private lives are submissive or switches. And like, if you think about it, you can think about being a pro dom as providing a service, because yes, you're being paid for it, but really you are tailoring, well, for a lot of pro doms. Not every pro dom is like this. I'm like, you can be a pro dom and be very, very dominant and not just be like a service top. But a lot of like BDSM, femdom, pro dom work is being a service top and doing what somebody pays you to do because that's what they like. And it's not really about like, oh, I'm the dom and I get to say what happens. It's all about what they want as the customer. And so that can definitely still tap into, I think, that service or switchy side. I just found YouTube. Okay. As a new member to BDSM, DDLG relationships, is there a way to use being to be a daddy? Wait, I don't get that. Being to be a... What other word could that be? Way to use begging to be a daddy? Waiting to use... Okay. I will just say this. Oh, thank you. Rosie
Rosette donated $10. Just wanted to pop by and say hi.
Hello.
It's been hell at work, so it's nice to watch you stream. I have no questions to ask.
No,
sorry. Just good vibes to send.
No, love the good vibes. Thank you. Hopefully you have a better time at work. I know that vibe, definitely. Yes, definitely. Like, I do have a video about my collar for the curious in the audience who want to not be read their rights on stream by me. Oh, goodness. Okay, so if you want to know about being a daddy, what I'd recommend is if you don't know where else to start or you've never done it before, I do have a video that I want to say is titled Different Ways to Be a Daddy, or like a guide to being a daddy. I also have one of Mommy's as well if you want to see that one. That's a good place to start if you're new to DDLG relationships and you think you want to be a daddy but you don't really know how to yet. And I also do have a whole playlist of just pet play and CGL/DDLG videos. That's a really good place to start, again, if you don't really have any other knowledge about maybe what you want to be doing at this point. And I will also say, I remember somebody else asked a question about like any books I would recommend on DDLG or being a little, and I don't really have any to recommend. There's one book I found that I thought was a joke, and it totally wasn't. It's like a real book, and it's like got a pink cover, and I want to say like a pacifier on it. I don't recommend that book, but there is like more on the age play side. Lee Harrington does have an age play book that he wrote. It's like at least 20 years old by now, I think. But it's like, that's like the one that I know of that's by an author that I would potentially recommend. But again, that is more focused on age play, which overlaps a lot with DDLG and CGL, but is not necessarily the same thing for everyone. Azo is actually a really good UTI treatment. I've always found that works very well for me. Last weekend, the girlfriend Metamore and I watched Barbie and the Secretary. We had a great time. Oh, that's like a fun double feature. I've actually been thinking about that because there's somebody that I know that has not watched, as far as I know, either Secretary or Love and Leashes. And I'm like, if I had enough time, I could do a Love and Leashes and Secretary double feature. How to convince people, because like Secretary's old enough to where I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's gonna, like, if you're not already super kinky, like, how does that read to you? I think it's a fun movie on its own, so like maybe even if it's not for the kink part, it's worth watching. But always fun to have a movie night as a group for sure. Do you know of any females on YouTube who can help women become a dom. Trying to find a mentor in my area and their thinking is old guard, not my style, has been difficult. Again, I'm going to recommend Morgan Thorne. Finding a mentor is like a whole other can of worms. I have another video where I've talked about this a couple times before, actually. And I think that mentorship is a little bit overrated. I think a lot of people are drawn to it because it's like, oh, I can learn everything I need to know from one person and it's super easy and then I'm always going to have all the right answers and it's it's like you think you're buying like a package deal of like all the kink info you need, but good mentors, like somebody who would make a good mentor, are generally not available. And the people that are very willing and eager to be mentors are oftentimes not as knowledgeable as they say that they are, or they don't want to be a mentor for the right reasons. And I'm assuming you're talking about becoming a dom in a lifestyle sense, because getting professional mentorship to be a pro dom is like that's a whole other thing. Like pro doms are inundated by women who want to learn from them to become like them, and they just they don't have time for it. And that's why the older system of, getting trained by House of Domination and doing that was as popular as it used to be, because that was like a guaranteed way of getting into the industry. And now that that's kind of been moved away from, it's harder to find a mentor that's, again, available, good quality, all of that. So I would more think about not finding a mentor, like a particular person, but learning from diverse sources, right? Learning online, talking to people online, taking classes online, taking classes in person, joining discussion groups, joining Femdom groups, going to Femdom-oriented munches, or there's so many options for meeting other femme people, or even just like joining groups that are more like femme-centric in general. Like there are a female-oriented leather groups, patch clubs. Again, that's kind of like we're getting a little bit more old guard, which maybe is not so much your style, but there are lots of ways to meet women. And I think, again, sort of like it's like going back to that other question about like not forcing stuff. Like if you really try to force it to happen, it's probably not going to happen as easily. And so if what you really want is to find women to learn from, I think thinking about learning from multiple women as a collective as opposed to finding a particular mentor is likely to be more successful for you. I thought we may just have to talk about it. My hope is that since all involved people are kinky, they will be receptive to setting boundaries and such. Thank you. Yes, hopefully they will be. And at the bare minimum, if they're willing to communicate about what events they want to go to, that'll help you avoid any awkward scenarios. Huh, I've seen some floggers made with internet connection cords. LOL, love the idea. Yes, if you want like a really, really intense, very like whippy flogger, people do make floggers out of electrical wire. I do not recommend that outside of like for more advanced players, but that is another tool that people use. I remember Wicked Grounds doing a class on DIY floggers made out of bike tubes, but I guess that's only for mini floggers. I don't know about mini floggers. I know of like 2 companies that make old bike tire floggers, and I can't remember what size they are. I know one of them is definitely like mini size, like rubber floggers, but that's another good if you have the equipment to be able to, cut into a bike tire and the sources to be able to get that material. I think that's probably maybe one of the more expensive options if you're not using like reused bike tires, but that's another option for sure. It's more like a vegan option. I'm gonna be honest, I do not like, what's her name? LX. People like mention her, and I just like, I don't recommend her content. I'm gonna be honest. What I've heard her say about like feminism and alpha males and betas, and like the opinions that she has about brats, I don't think are very nuanced. And she very, very rarely, if ever, talks about like joining the local kink scene or like meeting people in person, and like, I don't know, I just like don't really trust her as a source of information. And like this isn't like a rivalry thing where it's like I have to have a bigger channel than her, like she's whatever. It's like I love Morgan Thorne and What's the Safe Word and everyone else who's ever like made YouTube videos about BDSM. Like I like her, and like if anyone remembers Beg for Jay, those are like the two people I don't recommend for kink content. Not necessarily because they're like super bad people or they share dangerous information. I will say that my interaction with LX or LEX, whatever it is, she like blocked me on all social media before I ever even talked to her. And I'm not the only content creator she's done that with. I know multiple other people that also make content in the kink space, whether it be YouTube, podcasting, etc., that all got blocked by her on social media, and she is in no way interested in like being part of like a community in the way that I am with like What's the Safe Word or Jillian Keenan or Loving BDSM or Off the Cuffs. Like she does not want to be associated with other YouTubers. She wants to like be in her own lane doing her own thing, which is fine, but like blocking a bunch of other content creators on social media just so you can like, I don't know, spread misinformation about porn addiction is like, it's very weird. Like, she's one of those people that's like, look at this MRI scan that shows how porn turns your brain into Swiss cheese, and it's like, that's not even a real thing. It's like a whole other side topic. But I just like, I'm very skeptical about her content, and like I remember when she first started having a channel, and I watched a couple of her videos. Like almost all of them are like, I don't know if this is still true, but at the time it was. They were always like, and here is like how to download my free ebook guide. You know, just go here and like sign in with your email address, and that's a sales funnel. The videos are designed to put you in a sales funnel, which I think that creates a perverse incentive for doing good kink education. But that's me. Wow, it's only just now 7 o'clock. We are like rolling through it today. We are rolling through the questions. I love it. We got to make up for lost time, last couple weeks. At Her Feet, be a pretty good book on being a female dominant. Definitely a good read. Okay, that name is very familiar. What is that? Who wrote that book? Oh, it's a Rebecca Weatherspoon, At Her Feet. That's the cover I don't recognize, but the name is familiar. Oh, wait, is this, oh, this is like an erotica novel. This is like a nonfiction book. I was thinking of nonfiction books. Because if you want to just have like fiction books about kink and BDSM and Femdom, so many options for that. Like thousands of books probably on Amazon. Hmm. It's a lack of events over lack of a play partner. Okay, lack of events. Okay, so sort of my like original thing of like building your own events and like, you know, making a Discord chat or making a discussion group or making a bunch. Because I imagine there are people who really want to go to them, but if you want to do something like make a munch or start a discussion group at a tea house, like there is legwork involved in that, and it is work, but it's not maybe as much work as putting together a whole ass BDSM party. And also, if you start those groups, you may find that people are like going to private events more. You get more invites that way. It's just like a good way to get your foot in the door for more opportunities outside of maybe like one or two event spaces. I don't know. I don't think YouTube likes are public. I think that like, cause you can, if you like a video, there's a separate, you can go, I don't know where this is on like YouTube, but you can go to like, your like watch later list, watch history, and then like liked videos or something. And I think that is by default private. I don't think other people can see it, but you might want to double check on that. When my partner and I first got together, he said he was into BDSM, but didn't specify. Oh, that's always a red flag. Just be like, I like BDSM, just like by himself. Yeah, okay. He is only into it in a sexual way. That makes sense. But I want more. It's not just sex for me. What should I do? So, okay, we've identified there's a mismatch here. From what you understand, he's only into it for sexual reasons, but you are not that way. You want something else. And I think you have to explore with your partner, are they open to doing BDSM outside of a sexual context? Because some people are like, when I do BDSM, I get horny. I can't do it in a non-sexual way. It just is sex to me. And like, if we do kinky stuff, I'm gonna want to, have a release as a result of that. So that might be the case here. It might not be. I think a lot of people start out in BDSM thinking of it as a sex thing because it's like more comfortable and more normal, easy to process, because like, oh, I like this because it turns me on, and that's like a very standard thing to do. But if you like BDSM for non-sex reasons, that like blows people's minds. They're like, wait, you want to do this and you don't want to like do other body things? I don't know what hand signs I'm currently trying to insinuate with doing that, but yeah, you don't necessarily get into BDSM thinking you're going to be into it in a non-sexual way until you have some experience. So I think you got to explore, like, is this a hard line of like, it is always going to be about sex? Is it just I don't have enough experience to know whether or not I can enjoy it in a non-sexual way? Or like, is it sexual for me, but I can pump the brakes on that for you to be able to have the kind of experience you want to be able to have? And then within that, right, like, what do you want to explore? Have you done a yes, no, maybe checklist? Have they done a yes, no, maybe checklist? Have you had that conversation about what your kinks really are? If they're just saying, like, I'm into BDSM, okay, are you into the B, the D, the S, the M? Like, the other S, the like other D, like there's so many different options here as far as acronyms and letters, and even beyond that, right? You have, and I have made a list myself before of over, I think, 200 different kink activities and tools that you can use for a scene. And so, like, if they say, I'm into bondage, does that mean like Western bondage? Does it mean shibari? Does it mean handcuffed? Does it mean straight jackets, escape artistry, damsel in distress roleplay? Like, there's so many options even within just like one category of that. And so I think you have to drill down into like, what kinks are we each into? What are we curious about? Where are overlaps? And then try to build from there. And I think if you can talk about it in a way where you establish that even if it's not sexual for you, isn't like you're trying to like use him. You are trying to be able to connect with him in an emotional way, I imagine, even if not sexually. And maybe that is enough by itself to be motivating and like to be something that he also wants to participate in. But I don't know your partner. I have certainly known people over the years, and I think I would say the plurality, I would say, yeah, plurality of people I know that started off with like this arrangement of, I have a boyfriend, he says he's into kink or is open to it. It's just sexual for him to begin with. Most people discover with more experience and exposure to the kink community that they do have kinks they are willing to do or enjoy non-sexually, and then participating in that. So, but yeah, if you want more than what he is able or willing to provide, that is certainly a tough spot to be in. And then I think you have to decide where to go from there. Some of you people really disappoint me. And do you just like make new accounts with the intention of like asking questions like this? And I want you to know that you are the reason why I will never ever wear another physical sign of any relationship, vanilla or kinky, in public ever. Because you fucking people cannot stop making it about you. If you want to jerk off to somebody who's wearing a collar, go to a porn website. Okay? I'm tired of it. I am tired of people treating me like a fucking object because they want to see something particular around my neck that they feel entitled to. Fucking, this makes me so mad. Treat me like a human being. If anyone asks me about my collar, I am automatically blocking them. I do not wear anything visual that you guys can see on camera anymore because people cannot be fucking normal about it. Okay. All right. Controlled expression of emotion. Everyone needs to know to not behave like that. It's very serious. Just act normal. Okay, that's it. That's all I want. Huh. Thank you so much for responding. He wants to do all the things I want him to do, but I don't want to force him or anything. He's pretty enthusiastic about doing anything that turns me on. Okay, well, like, it sounds like you have a really good shot then. If he wants to do what you want to do, if he's open to doing it, like, I get the fear over not wanting to force him to do something he doesn't want to do. But, like, ultimately you have to think about your partner and understand that they are an autonomous, intelligent adult, and if they are telling you, I want to do this, I want to help you, I want to explore, you have to take them at their word that they want to be able to do that. And as long as you're not like harping on it, bringing it up every day, like, here's how not to do it. If you're worried about coming across too forceful and like you are coercing someone into doing kink, you talk about a kink, you say, I really like it if like we could explore, let's say, flogging, because we brought that up a lot so far on this stream. If you want to explore flogging, you say, okay, like, I really love to try flogging. How do you feel about that? And they go, yeah, it'd be awesome. And then you go, okay, great. Well, like, here's a book you can read. Here's a class we can take. Here's a video about it. Why don't you watch that and then get back to me? Like, give them a resource to access. Give them something to think about, and then initiate a conversation, like, maybe in a week or two about, like, did you watch that? What'd you think about it? Have some kind of conversation, and then I wouldn't regularly poke at it. Like, if you're doing every day, you're like, when can we do a kink scene again? Are you ready to do a kink scene now? Can we do something now? Like, if you're asking 2-3 times a day or even a week and they're always saying no, like, I find oftentimes people take no to be more temporary than it really is, and that's where I think people get messed up about pushing boundaries, is they hear a no and they don't hear, like, don't ask me again for a day. They hear, like, ask me again in 4 hours. Ask me again in 2 hours. And it's like, no. If somebody says no, that just means no, okay? Like, you can check in like, maybe a day, a couple days, circle back around to it. But don't frame it like, are you ready now? Can we do it now? Can we do it now? Will you let me do the thing I want to do now? Can we finally do what I want to do now? I need this. Give this to me. Give it to me. I need it. Give it to me. Like, that's a great way to turn somebody off from doing kink, is to just, like, constantly be like, let's do the thing all the time right now. And I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm just outlining what is behavior that, if you are doing it, I think could be a logical reason to fear forcing someone into something. Because I think a lot of people will experience that as being coercive. If their partner is constantly being like, now. Like, if you're asking fucking 5 times a day and they always say, like, not now, I'm tired, I haven't had time to research it yet, I'm really busy at work, I'm too stressed, like, let them lead how you proceed from that point onward. But, like, poke occasionally. You know, like once a week, on a weekend, you know, when it feels natural to bring it up. And if you are hearing no a lot, if you are hearing that they keep putting it off, they're not ready for it yet. Yeah, I know, right? No, no, I'm fine. I don't like emotionally. I'm great. Like I made a conscious decision to be like, I'm just gonna make sure people really know that this is a serious thing that I don't want to have happen, and then we're just gonna not respond after this point. So if any other super chats, any other messages come through, you're just getting blocked, and I'm gonna recognize that you're doing it. So you know, have fun throwing your money away, I guess, if you want to do that. Any lesbian will tell you that when you tell a guy you're a lesbian, they don't hear no, they hear keep trying. Yep. They think, a challenge. And it's like, no, do not treat it as a challenge. If you hear no, if you want to know more about that, if you do want to get to kink, I think politely and in a genuinely curious way, exploring that no is maybe worthwhile. Like if you hear something like, no, I don't really feel ready yet, or like, no, I don't really know if I'm going to be into that, or like, I mean, I want to do it, but I feel nervous about it. Okay, well, like, let's explore that. What's the feeling in there? Like, why do we feel nervous? Is that, like, rational? Is it logical? What can we do to help soothe that feeling and get to a better place with this experience mentally that we're both working to get to? And then you can move from that. But if you're just going, why won't let me do the fun thing now? Like, no one wants that. And I will, if you have like a bratty little and that's what you're into, like maybe you want to hear the like, I want it now. Maybe that's like fun to play with, but most people do not want that. I'm not doing anything like that. More the opposite. He's like, do you want to do X? And I'm embarrassed to say OMG yes. No, don't be embarrassed. There's no logical reason. Well, okay. It's valid for you to have that feeling of embarrassment. However, I don't think that embarrassment fits the facts of what you're experiencing because nothing like bad is happening in that scenario. Like everything's good. You're saying yes enthusiastically. That's what we want, right? We want enthusiastic yeses. So if you're feeling embarrassed, like maybe that helps your partner. Maybe they're really into hearing that you're that level of into it, you know? So don't be embarrassed. You know, it's okay to be embarrassed. Don't like a bad feeling you have to banish to the shadow realm. But, you know, you don't have to let it be the predominant feeling because it doesn't fit the situation to feel embarrassed. So, yes, enthusiastic yeses are what we want to hear. And I love that there is that communication of like him asking you if you want to do something. So it sounds like you're both in a good place in terms of exploring and talking about it and having that communication. So all good signs for sure. I thought Monopoly was that game with Uncle Money or Uncle Pennybags. Oh my god, you're right. How have I never seen that before? The Monopoly is just Monopoly, but pronounced differently? Oh, that's good. That's funny. Yeah. What are the differences between CNC and free use? Well, Audrey, you're in luck because I have a whole video about free use. So if you haven't seen that one, it's a video where I talk about free use in CNC, and I think I even have like a pretty long section in that where I talk about the differences between free use and CNC. And that'd probably be a good way to get your answer. But essentially, free use can involve CNC in like a kink context, but like it's complicated. I would just say watch the video. That's going to give you the best answer on like the differences and the similarities and the overlaps between those two perspectives. Yeah, no, I think is just one person who just keeps making YouTube accounts with one intention, which is just, well, it's certainly a choice. See, the problem is that being a kink content creator, what most people want when they act out is they want to be humiliated and called out because they get off to that, and it's like they don't realize that people know that, and it's like, I know that that's what you're doing. but I am socially shaming you such that you do not return to my chat because other people would be mad at your presence. But really, the only thing to do is like when you have somebody who's annoying you with jokes you don't like, you just don't respond because no reaction is better than reacting because even negative reactions reinforce their behavior. So, pro life tip there, if somebody is annoying you with bad behavior you don't like to get a reaction out of you, don't react to them. Just stop reacting because otherwise they will just keep doing it. Do you have any recommendations for an affordable 24/7 style collar? I'm assuming you mean like a lockable metal collar? Less than $50. Let me check. I want to say that there are some options now, but I can't remember the name of the brand. Rogue Stainless Steel makes a lockable infinity collar that is currently on sale for $34 at Spectrum Boutique. I'll just go ahead and link the sales page here because that's probably easy to go to. I can't speak to the quality of this. My hesitation with recommending products that are like cheaper infinity collars is they are knockoff designs. They are knockoffs made probably for cheap in a factory abroad. Of designs that took actual kinky people, typically a very long time and a lot of expense to be able to figure out how to make in a particular way. So if you're okay with potentially engaging in intellectual property theft and facilitating that, you know, you can do that if it's really, really that big of a money issue. But understand that these are not original designs and they are usually stolen by creators, and that's why you're able to get them at a cheaper price than what you would find on Etsy. And typically the material is not quite as good quality. So, but this one is a good option that's currently on sale. And also, they only come in one size, so that's like a weird thing as well. It's like only having one size for a collar. Like everyone's neck size is different. How does that like? I have like an 11.25 inch neck. Just as like a random fact about me. It's like I think it's like the narrowest point is like 11 and a quarter, and then it's like 12 closer to the base of the neck. I don't have the same neck diameter as like a buff guy who works out, and he could also want to have a collar, you know? Why do we gotta wear the same thing? So, there is that. I want to see if they're still making it in this Etsy shop. Because I'm assuming you're looking for the lockable, like the ring style collar. I know Black Market Chicago has some more like chainmail style collars if you want that design. If you're looking for more of like kind of a dainty day collar look. Not... Oh, that's interesting. It's like a rubber cord design. I don't think I've seen that before. I'll have to look at that one, see if I can recommend it for later. Oh, that one's over $100. There's some other ones by Celtic Heart Boutique that look to also be a 24/7 locking collar design. Although it's funny that they say they're like eternally locking, but like the default option is a lobster clasp. So I think these ones look like they're probably a little bit lower quality, but they all are also under $50. So it's Celtic Heart Boutique, based out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So you can look at that too. I'll also link that in the chat real quick here. So there you go. You can look at that. Restrained Grace has some stuff. No, I think Restrained Grace is more expensive. Why I didn't recommend it. Because I'm assuming they want like a locking collar, and they definitely do have locking collars on Restrained Grace, but I'm not sure if they're the exact. I mean, I should probably just look. It'd be Restrained Grace. Because they're very like femme, and I think that's nice that they have sort of more of a. Okay, let me see here. So now we're just. They've also kind of like gone into like weird drop shipped Alibaba stuff and like lingerie and things that I don't like. Like I get, you gotta make money, but do you have a funny ornament that's like the first Christmas that I'm aware that I have ADHD? That's a good one. That's fun. All right, let's look at. Let's do 24/7. They only seem to have chain day collars, which like that's easy enough to find. And most of them appear to be sold out, so yeah, okay. I don't really see anything, and also all their designs are over 50. Yeah, they're the one that I would most similar is that's locking is over. It's like almost $70, so wouldn't necessarily recommend that. All right, now we know. Okay. I'm disappointed that Kitten Collection got rid of their BYO collars. I know. I mean, it makes sense just because like that market has really slowed down over the years. But I think honestly, if you message her, I'm sure she would be glad to like modify existing designs. I don't think that like you're unable to modify stuff. It's just that like if you keep a bunch of build your own stuff in stock, but then like you only ever sell a very small amount of it, like just for financially for a small company, doesn't really make sense. Okay, wow, 7:30. We have about half an hour left, so let's look at that. Let's look at some things. Oh, these are like, this is like cute, sort of for more like mask people that wanna wear collars. There's some like nice like neoprene like rubber stuff, which is fun. Okay, I'm gonna stop looking at this because it's distracting me. I'm gonna look at recommendations for collars for a long time. My guide dog has decided that my new flogger is just a super expensive chew toy. Oh no! Yeah, this is why I always hang up my floggers and keep them out of doggo range. But luckily my doggo very small. She cannot get to very much. I imagine a larger service animal or a guide dog would probably cause more issues potentially. What are your thoughts on Barbenheimer? I haven't seen any of the movies, so I don't have any opinions about the movies themselves. I think it's very interesting. I like the fact that there are bigger movies that are not fucking Marvel, because I'm so tired of everything being a reboot or a prequel or like Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. I'm just so tired of that. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm just like, I don't need to see the 8th movie in one franchise. It's just like, it's so tired. So I like that it's original content mostly, although I feel like from what I've heard, Marvel kind of took away the point that like, oh, now we're not Marvel, Mattel? What is it? Fucking Fisher Price? I don't know. The toy company that owns Barbie, I think it's Mattel. They took away the wrong message from the success of the movie and then went, oh, now we're gonna have a multiverse of fucking toy movies with like Polly Pocket and the Magic 8 Ball. And we're gonna also have no, have it just be a one-off for like maybe 2 Barbie movies. Come on, it's too much, too many. Oh Lord. I'd also suggest scrolling TikTok for collars too. I found a lot of cool small makers on that. Yes, TikTok has many problems, especially with censorship, but it is a really good way to interact with and learn more about small artists for sure. Yes, it is Mattel. I have not watched the Barbie movie. I will probably watch it at some point, but not probably not next week or two. What if we had a stream where we just browse for collars and sort of online window shopping with commentary? I could do that for Patreon. That could be a thing. I mean, I guess you could do it for one of these Friday streams, but I feel like that's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to invite more public comment about the collar situation and the fact that I refuse to wear one on camera now. Because people just can't take no for an answer. Yeah, Mattel is planning to do the whole be your own studio thing, and that was a launch of that. Oh, gosh, the worst. Just the worst. All right. I definitely need more water. Someone needs to make noise canceling headphones for pets. Wait, could that already be a thing? Wait. Noise cancellation for animals. Oh my god, you're never gonna believe this. They make that for pets. There's like a little beanie they can wear. It's called the Ponix noise canceling Bobby headphones. And it looks like a big, like a sweatband basically. So if you can, oh my fucking god. Oh my god, it's so funny. Oh, it looks, it's so funny looking. Oh, do I even have a way to like share? I don't have a way to share my screen on here, but just like, I'm gonna link to it. I'm gonna link to it in the stream, and you guys can look at it. It's so fucking funny. I don't know how well this works, but it is apparently a thing. There's so many photos of people's dogs wearing this. Oh, LOL, so funny. Love it. I'm a guide dog trainer. I'm a guide dog trainer, and I would say start by building up a reward base for those noises. Make the noise, give them a. Oh yeah. Like you could like not even really just doing a scene, but like like being in the kitchen or something, and then like having a paddle out, and then like rewarding when they make eye contact with the paddle, and then like when they associate the paddle with the noise you're making with the paddle, then reward for that, and then like build up, and then and then they can't get over it, then distance it from. Yeah, I think the reward and praise definitely can work very well, but I think definitely for some noises, especially for like pain related noises, I imagine a lot of dogs just would have trouble getting over that, depending on how they were raised, their breed, their sensitivity. But yeah, good advice. Thank you for sharing. I would honestly have to agree. My two poor dogs are always getting scared by thunder and fireworks, so I wish someone would too. Well, it looks like they might, according to what I just found. How can I overcome the quote sub face even being a dom? I gotta be honest, I don't know what sub face is. That feels like a bullshit thing somebody made up to be like, you don't look like my fetish image of a dom, and so therefore I'm gonna shame you for how you look to coerce you into looking more like how I expect in my own fucking head for a dom to look. Listen, the scariest doms I know are like 5'1" little pixie ladies. Like the scariest doms I know are not the ones that are like 6-foot Amazonian women with like the hair in a high ponytail. Like they're scary in their own way. The scariest tiny high femme pixie ladies. That's what you got to be really afraid of. It's not the ones that look like they're mean. It's the ones that don't look like they're mean. Okay. So I would say you overcome dom face by getting rid of people in your life that are telling you that you don't look like a dom, because doms can look like anything. Now, if you want to enhance your look for yourself to look more like a dom in a way that gets you into that headspace on your own, then I think you got to experiment with like makeup and hair and like when I think of like a dom look, I think of like really like sharp wing, big smoky eyeliner. I think of like red lips, very well defined, maybe very strong contouring, a really like strong hairstyle, either very, very, very sleek hair and like a high ponytail, or like really well coiffed waves, or some kind of like big hair, just overall being really put together. But again, a dom can look like anything. There is not like a one dom face or a dom look, and people that say that there is are delusional. They are just delusional. Now, there's a difference between like somebody externally saying you don't look dom enough, and somebody like on their own feeling like their look doesn't match their dom persona, which is a different issue. Scariest doms I know are sweet and smiley. Definitely true. Definitely true. But hopefully that helps answer your question. But let me know if that doesn't quite hit the mark, because I'm not confident that I fully answered it, but let me know. I understand that people don't like vacuum cleaners, but I actually find vacuum cleaners in like another room to be like very relaxing. Like I get very sleepy when I hear like distant vacuum cleaner. Like if I'm upstairs and somebody's vacuuming downstairs and I'm upstairs, I like it's just like nap time. I just get so relaxed. I don't know what that says about me. That's how I feel. I'm currently slowly working on a music album where I sample household appliances and sounds of me doing housework as electronic sounds. That sounds very fun, very personal touch. I like that. On masochism, is it okay / healthy to enjoy sort of feeling sorry for myself? Like I feel like I always do, but when I'm a bit physically hurt from a scene or naturally, I feel certain cognitive resonance. You mean dissonance or resonance? Because I think what you're saying is like, is it okay that I'm like, oh no, poor me, that I am experiencing this pain? I mean, like, honestly, like, that sounds fine to me. The only time I'd really say that masochism, and this is not a definitive list, but I think just like sort of the key signs that it's not a healthy engagement in masochism is if you are engaging in it for someone to hurt you because you feel badly, like you deserve to be hurt, and then you feel badly afterwards. Or you're engaging in masochism because you have kind of like a desire for self destruction and reflecting your own inner self hatred and not working through it and resolving it, but validating that feeling of I'm worthless, I deserve nothing, I am horrible, I don't want to exist. If you are using masochism to reinforce negative self image, negative cognitive distortions, then I think that that's a negative thing. But if you're just, enjoying masochism and when you do it, part of it is you're sort of going, woe is me, poor me internally. Like, I don't know, that doesn't sound too bad to me, but maybe I'm not fully getting it. I have a white noise app and my fave is cat purring, so soothing. Oh, that's a great idea. Love that. I'm convinced double feature. Oh yeah. That'd be, how many hours would that be? At least probably, like 4 hours probably? I've got a question. So I'm a brat myself, and whenever I come across a dom, I've come across a few fake ones where they just get straight to the point, and I'm like, where are the rules and boundaries? I mean, like, it's funny to say that and, like, read it out loud, but it's not funny because of how true it is. And it's interesting because I've met more people recently just so often where they are on the other side of, like, I'm a dom or I want to explore BDSM, but I meet a brat and then they just, like, expect me to get right into it. And so I feel like there's this evolutionary pressure on both doms and subs, especially brats, where people who want to be with a brat get taught how they think they need to behave around a brat by a brat that's like, do me now, basically. And then they take that attitude into new connections because, well, I thought that's how you're supposed to be doing this. And then vice versa as well. Like if you're a brand new brat getting into a relationship for the first time with somebody who wants to say that they know how to handle you or something, oftentimes you're just shooting in the dark and they go right for hard, heavy, direct, super fast, and that does not work. So I think it's a little bit of like people learning incorrect behaviors from other people who also say they're brats or also say they want to tame brats or are kinky or into BDSM or whatever. And I heard just like, I have heard story after story after story from people that have had that experience. So, I mean, I guess I don't really know what the question is exactly. Like, I'll just validate that as an experience that happens. Is like, yes, you are going to run into people where, I think honestly, because a lot of people, if they really sat with themselves, they would realize that what they're really looking for isn't a partnership or a DS relationship. They want kinky internet roleplay. They want to be able to play pretend at doing BDSM and play pretend at somebody being a brat. But because they have no interest in taking it farther than just like, you know, texting or roleplay, or maybe in the bedroom if it gets to the point of like meeting in person, you know, they don't think about the tools you have to have in place to make that an actual relationship thing and not just like, do you want to sext me after we match on a dating app? Where it's like, you can do that and not necessarily have to worry as much about boundaries and rules, but even then, if you don't have rules for conversations, you're running the risk of saying a word or telling somebody to do something that does make them uncomfortable in real life, that doesn't sound hot to them. So I don't even really get it from that perspective. I mean, I understand it more, but I'm like, how does it even really get you what you want 9 times out of 10? I don't know. But the good person will come along. The good person that you are meant to be with will come along. And there's a quote that I read recently from somebody that was basically like, the right person that will come along will feel safe and they will feel good and you won't have to force it. Like, you're not going to worry about like, all right, let's get out the building equipment here. Let's get out. All right, this is what a rule is. This is what a boundary is. You've already violated them, but now we're going to build from the ground up. Like, if it's the right person for you, you will feel okay in that relationship already. It won't be a fight from the very start of respect me, listen to me, do not treat me as a fetish object. Now, I would hope at some point that person can learn to not behave that way, but you are not necessarily obligated to teach that lesson unless you feel equipped to and like you want to teach that lesson. So, yeah, it can take longer, but, and I found that out, like, again, like, my personal experience has been, I've run into a lot of people where they're like, thank God you're a rational, normal human being, because the last 5 people I've met that say they're submissive on this dating app, we talk, and then they want to call me daddy on day 1. They want me to tell them to do this, that, and the other, you know, and I've never even gone on a first date yet, and it's like, I don't know what people are smoking, what's in the water. People just, they get some real wires crossed about appropriate behavior on dating apps and like when you meet people. Like, because it's fine, right? Like, if what you want is to just do internet role play, talk about that and then do that. And if you want a relationship, act like you want to talk for longer than the next hour and a half. I don't know what utility submission is, so I'm going to go ahead and say they're the same thing. Oh, God. Okay. All right, we got like 10 minutes. Let's get to some more questions here. And by the way, we do this every Friday at 6, so if you want to see more, subscribe and hang out. All right. Oh, here we go. When it comes to finding brat tamers, I'm nervous because, like, I'm like, is this dom going to be good or is he going to be bad? That's one thing I'm scared about. I think that's totally rational to be afraid of, like, is this going to be a good person to a degree. I think if you can be really upfront about boundaries, limits, and have that be respected, if they are open to a conversation about, like, what's your skill level? How long have you been doing this for? Have you had another previous brat? What's your current relationship history like? If they are open to answering those questions, that's a really good sign. And if they leap right into, role play and barking orders and titles and demands, that is definitely a very big red flag. Being willing to talk about boundaries first, green flag. Good green flag if somebody wants to discuss everything first. So, good sign there versus a bad sign. And I don't want to say that somebody who doesn't understand boundaries or wants to get right into roleplay immediately is irredeemable.
Mark donated $10. Yeah. Happy I found your channel. You are brilliant at this.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you, Red Heart.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, especially with the earlier super chats we got. It was like, oh no, I'm scared now to see what's going to happen. But thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, like the right person is going to be willing to have that conversation. And like somebody who is just like confused, if you tell them like, hey, you know, like if they start going like, princess, are you being a bad girl? Will you kneel for me? Like winky emoji, first message. If they do that, you can go, hey Mark, we just met. Sorry, I used to say Mark because that's a super chat. Hey Bob, we just met. We just matched on this dating app. Are you... You know that people don't do that, right? You gotta talk to me like a human being first. If they unmatch you, well, that gives you the answer you need. If they go, oh, really? Like, okay, I was just trying to do what I thought people wanted. Like, if they're willing to hear you out and know how to do it in a better way, good sign. But that's really the only time I would give somebody that has started off on the wrong foot a second chance here, because it is so likely that somebody who is like wanting to push immediately and get to role play and bark orders like has bad intentions. I wouldn't recommend you risk it too much, because there are other fish in the sea, that is for sure. I'm new here and new to BDSM after my current significant partner got me into it. I'll say she is quite the brat and an aspiring dom. As an aspiring dom, I'm trying to find some very interesting ways to tame her. Okay. Well, I do have videos on brat taming and punishment ideas designed for brats, because what brats really, really actually hate is being ignored and not being made the center of attention. So that is like my general advice for looking for ideas, is like, what can you do that decenters them and makes them not get attention? They will actually hate that. Oh, no worries, Trixie. I'm sorry to hear you've been having a headache, but thank you for being here anyways. And definitely take a nap. Take care of yourself. Just want to reinforce that doms absolutely do nice things for their sub. My partner noticed I was having a bad day and decided to bring home my favorite Chinese food so I don't have to cook. Oh, that is so sweet. Yes, doms can absolutely do nice things for their partner. I would say, in my experience, like, of people in my age range, like, let's say like 25 to 40, not like the people that are older and not the people that are like super, super young, but people in my age range of like sort of, you know, the millennial age range. I would say a solid like 40% of people that get into BDSM on their own as the D-type side, most of them have some kind of... Well, actually, if they're just straight up a dom. Now, if you get into like sadism and like bondage and then get into power exchange, different numbers there. But if you get into just power exchange, I think initially it's like maybe even 50-50. People that have more caregiver energy versus, I don't know, like caregiver versus sadist versus, I don't know what the opposite of caregiver would be. But like the other flavors of being a dom. And like, it's really nice. It's so wholesome. It's so cute. Like, yes, everyone can do nice things for their partner. You can, because it's not that like submissives have a monopoly on doing nice things where it's always a service act. You can also be a caretaker or a caregiver and also do nice things for your partner, and like that can also be a dominant act and like be an act of control and power, and it's like, it's so wonderful, it's so nice. I love it. wish that more people realized that that was an option and they don't have to just like rush in and be like, all right, worm, get on the floor. You know, some people like that, but maybe not most people. Because also, like, people think, as a brat, no, don't ignore me. Yeah, I know. That's why it's a good idea. That's why it's a suggestion. Oh, God. Okay, well, I mean, like, really, I think caregivers, people think, oh, if you're a caregiver, you have to be with little. You could be a caregiver and be with a pet or a masochist or a doll or somebody who has a medical fetish. Like, I don't know. You could be a caregiver and be with anyone. Okay, with anyone. All different combinations there. Some more common than others, to be clear, but many options still. Okay, we got 5 minutes. Lightning round. Let's go. Let's go, people. Lightning round. Okay, where are we for questions? I'm a brat by nature. Oh, uh-oh. Oh, honey. Ooh. You doing okay? All right, you seem fine, honey. Go back to sleep, honey. Go back to sleep. Okay. Have a little sneezy fit. Have a little coffee fit. Oh no, you're gonna start again. You okay? Go to sleep, honey. There we go. Good girl. Anyways, I'm a brat by nature. So how do I bring that into a kink context? How do I bring that to the table if I meet someone? I'm currently single. This is a pretty silly question, I think. No, not silly at all. I think that's like a really smart thing to think about because in my experience, a lot of people who are drawn to bratting kind of just force it in there, honestly. They kind of just go, all right, I'm a brat. I can just do brat stuff. Watch me. You can't stop me. Na boo-boo. And they just kind of go for it. And it's actually really unhealthy to do. So I think you're probably already on the right track as far as like you want to bring it up in a conversation with somebody and bringing it up on the table. I think if you're with a kinky person, I mean, it should be a pretty easy conversation, like in the sense that it's not going to be like a, what's that? I don't understand. Like, you're going to be able to have shared dialogue and shared language about it. I would bring it up if you're dating a kinky person, like if you're talking about doing kink stuff and like what your background is in kink and what you're currently looking for. You could bring it up on a first date and be like, well, like one thing about me is I kind of have a bratty nature on my own. I've always done XYZ stuff, and I'm curious about trying it in a kink context. That's the only thing that I want to do, but I'm also curious about like trying out my brat side and what that might look like. So that's how I would probably bring it up. And then like, I'm kind of projecting myself into how that conversation would go. And I feel like if I heard that, I'd be like, cool, yeah, let's explore it. I'm so nonchalant about like most people having conversations with me about kink stuff. I just go, okay, sure, why not? Sure, we can do that. I just like, whatever it is, I don't care. Like, sure, we can have a further conversation. We can talk about that. No skin off my nose. Like, unless it's like a really extreme kink that I'm not into. Like, if they were into like ABDL, I probably wouldn't like pursue that, but some people are totally into that. All right. Do you have any pointers for those who are neurodivergent and wish to take up BDSM? I do have a video about it. I will say personally, there is a great convention that is called ThriveCon that is like it's a whole mental health online convention that talks all about mental health and neurodivergence in the kink scene. Really, really good resource there. It's ran by Pragmatically Kinking, and they also have a FetLife group that is worth following and being a part of for other events. I will say, I am pretty sure the BDSM scene attracts neurodivergent people. There's a lot of neurodivergent people in the scene, given there are definitely still ableism and especially accessibility issues in the scene. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfect, but there are lots of other neurodivergent people in the community. Lots and lots and lots. So you're definitely not going to be alone. And so that I think makes it easier to connect. That does make it easier to connect with people. Because other people are gonna know what you're about. All right, one more question. Who will it be? Spin the wheel. Who will be the last question? Because I cannot believe it's already 8 o'clock. Time flies. Do you still have a cat, or is that cat ever yours? That cat was never mine. It's one of my roommate's cats. The cat is named Nadja, and she does not go in this room because I'm allergic. But she may occasionally make an appearance. So far, she has not snuck in here for more than like 20 seconds before I've caught her. But no, not my cat. Just a roommate's cat. Have you or do you know any content creators that have done videos on kink and neurodiversity, autism, ADHD, etc.? I have a video on it. I believe, I want to say Jillian Keenan has a video on it as well. Oh, actually, there's another creator that has doesn't really make a lot of kink content, but she does talk about, I think, especially ADHD and like time blindness and stuff. I'm gonna try and find it. Let's see. Because that is actually... Okay, good. It's Katieosaurus. And she does not make videos super regularly at the moment, but she does have lots of good videos about especially ADHD and sex and BDSM. That's a really good resource to have. So we just have all the resources today. Oh my goodness. There you go. There's a couple videos that are worth watching. My guide dog likes your voice. She keeps snooting my phone. Aw, thank you, Betty Joe. I had this experience earlier with like somebody's cat where like the cat doesn't like people, but they like me for some reason. I was like, I don't know. I think it's that cats know I'm allergic and they just like want to get closer because they know I'm allergic. How do you get used to not being embarrassed by your reactions to play in public dungeons? I get really embarrassed by the noises I make if I'm not being hit hard. Gags and hoods. Something that puts distance between you and other people around you. So, gags, hoods, blindfolds, anything that either muffles your noise as well and then makes it so you are less in your head, or actually more in your head, but you're not focusing on what other people are reacting to or experiencing. I mean, I would almost think about, and this is an extreme example, so don't like do this if it doesn't feel like good for you to do. I would almost think about doing a group scene where your partner invites people to like you know how like when you go to a wedding, there's like a guest book where the guests can write messages and advice to people. Like having a setup where you do a scene and then your dom puts a guidebook out so that way people who are viewing the scene or listening to you can leave you notes with the understanding that the notes will be positive or affirming in nature. And then I think that can give you a really, really good baseline of like, my noises are not embarrassing. My noises are normal and fine. Look at all these people who like the noises I make. Look at all this evidence I have, brain. Listen to the advice. Listen to the words. Take in what is being said. And that can be a really, really good way to combat that fear that you might have of like being embarrassed. Because I mean, it's like really any other embarrassing thing in public, right? Like most people are not looking at you, they are looking at themselves and worried about themselves. If they are thinking about the noises you're making, unless you are being so loud, you are interrupting other people and like screaming 100 decibels above what everyone else is making noise at in that dungeon, no one really cares. It's probably totally fine. The only time I've ever known anyone to get upset about noise in a dungeon, it is when people are performatively too loud to get a reaction from other people in the audience. You know, like, if it's like a mellow dungeon night and then you just have one person who's like, yes, yes, please, more, like, as loud as possible for 2 hours, that is kind of annoying, in which case, gag. But, like, even then, it's like, even if it is annoying, I'm allowed to feel annoyed. Other people are allowed to feel annoyed. They are also allowed to be here. It is not against the rules to make like certain noises generally. Unless it's like, a mellow dungeon night and it's like, nothing louder than this many decibels or whatever, which I haven't seen before but could be a thing. And as long as you're staying reasonable, most people aren't really going to notice. So I think that's a good way to maybe get used to that and have a more positive association with it. Also, just like maybe listen to other people. Really focus on the noises they're making and realize that you're probably not so different. Or like leaning into your partner enjoying it, right? Asking your partner to be like, hey, can you affirm me when we do scenes? I would love to hear it. If you like the noises I make, please tell me. Please affirm me. Please help me feel validated in my noises and know that my noises are pleasing to you. Because you can also rely on that kind of DS or top-bottom relationship. So that way okay, I don't have to worry about what other people think because my partner loves what I'm doing. And then just focusing on that. Lots of options there. Yes, read the room, aka the dungeon. Yes, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Mark. Seriously, just so enjoying your perspective, curiosity, and openness. Gonna try to join earlier next time. Yes, we do start at we start at 6 on most Fridays. Occasionally, if I have just like an extreme event happening, won't happen at 6, but almost always it's at Fridays, every Friday at 6 o'clock. So thank you for being here. All right, so, oh God, I clicked away. What did I do? Oh no. Did I lose a chat? What? What happened in my chat? Why did it go away? Oh, I'm gonna be sad now. Where'd it go? Did I really disconnect because I accidentally clicked away on YouTube? That's gonna be so annoying. Oh, I can't see the chat anymore. I mean, I think I'm still live. I don't know what happened. It's so bizarre. Okay, wait, can I even just like, I go to my channel and I go to like me being live. Can I see it that way? Okay, there I am. What happened to my Okay, I have a workaround. Yes, we do it at PST, so Pacific time. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I just like clicked away and then it just like got rid of everything. Okay. Okay, everyone's still here. Hi, welcome. Glad you could make it because I almost didn't apparently. Okay, so we're over time. We're gonna wrap up for today. Thank you all so much for being here. Again, we do this every Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And if you want to get in early to make sure your questions if you want to get in early to make sure your questions get answered, definitely do that. And hopefully I will see you all later and next time. Bye.